Hey guys, Tech Pilots here. So, as usual, I've been absent for too long, but I'm finally back with a new PC build guide. So, the last PC build guide I've made, which was the first on the channel, was a budget gaming PC loaded with a 1050 Ti, was made for 1080p gaming. But this time, we're going to the complete opposite of budget gaming PCs. This gaming PC, or a PC in general, it's not just made for gaming, was originally planned for me. But I liked to share my PC build with you guys, so maybe you would buy the parts for a friend or a family member on Christmas, or even for yourself. So because of the PC parts prices changing continuously on Amazon, I do not guarantee that the numbers I'm gonna give you are completely accurate. The PC was originally planned to stay within the budget of $2,500. The parts listed within this budget will include peripherals, such as monitors, keyboard, and a mouse, mostly. By means, the PC build will change in price from $100 to $200 maximum. So this PC will cost from time to time $2,700 and from time to time $2,500. So to check the current price of this PC build, make sure to add all the parts to your cart down below with the links down below in the description, even if you're not buying anything, and check out the sum to see how much that PC build costs in a total sum. Yeah, I know, it's a different day and a different time and with different clothes, but anyways. Now, I will list the parts and I will talk about each one of them in a general way. I will not be explaining the full details of each part and what does it do. If you want to know more information about each part, just write in the comments. Maybe I'll make a new video about it because I'm having trouble finding a subject to make a video about. Now we'll start with the CPU, one of the main parts of a PC build. When I purchase a CPU myself, I care about two main things. Number one is the amount of cores and threads. Number two, the clock speed the CPU is running on. This build was a Ryzen 7 1700X build, but after Coffee Lake CPUs being available for purchase, I decided to switch from an AMD build to an Intel build for many reasons. Number one, the Ryzen 7 1700X does have more cores than the Intel Core i7 8700K. The 8700K is the CPU for this build, but I chose the 8700K, which has less cores and less threads than the Ryzen 7 because it has a larger clock speed than the Ryzen 7 1700X. The 1700X turbo boosts at about 3.8 GHz with 8 cores and 16 threads, while the beast of a CPU, in my opinion, which is the Intel Core i7 8700K, has 6 cores, yes, and 12 threads, yes. Both are less than the Ryzen 7 1700X, but the Intel Core i7 8700K turbo boosts at 4.7 GHz, which is about 1000 MHz more frequency than the Ryzen 7 1700X. You can also be able to overclock this CPU to 5 GHz, while the Ryzen 7 1700X will have a little trouble reaching that clock speed. To know the price of the 8700K, just visit the link down below to check out the current price of this CPU. Now, you may think, what cooler would cool this CPU if you want to overclock it to 5 GHz? Now, it's not something so special. It's about in a good price range. It's the Corsair H100i version 2. This cooler is at a price point of $100, and if you want to check the price, the current price, just visit the link down below. It's a great cooler for the price, and it also has 2 fans included in case you don't want to buy more fans. Anyways, this cooler will do the job for cooling the 8700K in case you want to overclock it to 5 GHz. Now enough talk about the CPUs, shall we? We want to know what is powering this rig so it can game at 4K. Well, good question. The Asus ROG Strix 1080 Ti will do the job for you with 11 GB of GDDR5X memory. This is one beast of a
graphics card.
Now, it games at 4K about 60 FPS, it games at 1440p about 130 FPS, maybe more if you're not playing AAA titles. You can game on this thing 1080p about 200 FPS, all of them at ultra settings. This is simply the heart of this build, and this graphics card is what makes this build a gaming PC. If you want to know the price of this beast, and of course it's not gonna be cheap, just visit the links down below. The main monitor, the gaming one, which will be the main thing that will take use of the 1080 Ti. While searching for monitors on Amazon, I was focusing on getting 3 main features. Number 1 is G-Sync, number 2 is a high refresh rate, which is maybe the same thing as G-Sync because G-Sync doesn't work on low refresh rates. Number 3 is resolution. Now, mainstream monitors from Asus, Acer, and other important companies, I found mainly at a budget of $400 for the gaming monitor. They had a refresh rate of a maximum 180 Hz and a resolution of 1080p. All of them have G-Sync. I wasn't that sure of paying $400 for a 1080p monitor at a good refresh rate, I won't lie to you. But I suddenly tripped upon this Dell gaming monitor. Number 1, I should tell you its name. I hate monitor names, by the way. Dell Gaming S2417DG YNY 1D. Okay, that's it. Anyways, number 1, it's a 24-inch monitor. Number 2, it's a 175 Hz monitor with G-Sync, most importantly. Number 3, it's a 1440p monitor compared to all the other mainstream monitors which were 1080p at the same price range. I was blown away actually. I read the reviews, I double checked, and this monitor is truly a great monitor. It has a high refresh rate, and it's one of the little which have 1440p with that kind of refresh rate at the same price range compared to other mainstream monitors which were at the same price range 1080p only. And if you want to check the price of this monitor, which is a great monitor by the way, just check the link down below in the description. If you're someone who uses Premiere Pro and Photoshop and Illustrator and multiple applications at the same time while, for example, editing a video, well, I think or I suggest having a secondary monitor. It would really help while multitasking, exclusively when you have a CPU that is capable of heavy multitasking. Anyways, I thought about having a secondary monitor, but I didn't want it to burn the budget. I found a great monitor from Bank called the Bank GW2270. That's it. It's a 21-inch monitor. It's smaller than the 24-inch main Dell gaming monitor. Yes, but believe me, this is 1080p, and having a secondary monitor while video editing, for example, is great. It saves you a ton of time. Yeah, we got a little outside the subject while talking about monitors, and we forgot about the motherboard. But don't worry,
I remembered.
it's the Asus Maximus 10 Hero. This motherboard has RGB, of course. It has an M.2 slot, and that's important for our build. You'll know about that later. It also supports two-way SLI if you're crazy enough for buying two 1080 Ti's. And most importantly, it supports the 8th generation Coffee Lake Intel Core CPUs. so it would take full advantage of the i7 8700K without bottlenecking the overclocking to 5 GHz. To check out the price of this motherboard, just check the link down below in the description. And talking about motherboards, the RAM which will be installed in this rig will be 16 GB of DDR4 Corsair Vengeance LPX memory. And if you want to know the price of the Corsair LPX Vengeance RAM, check the link down below in the description. This rig is going to use an M.2 SSD, specifically the Samsung 950 EVO M.2 SSD. And yes, it's not that high in capacity and you will face some problems with storage, but if you can afford $100 to buy a 4TB hard drive from Seagate, or you could even buy a cheaper 1TB hard drive, I would totally recommend it, because 250 GB with such a build isn't that large, and specifically if you're downloading a ton of Steam games and Origin games. Yes, I know this M.2 SSD doesn't have that much storage, but why did I choose it? That's a good question. I just chose it for the fact that it has read and write speeds that reach up to 3 GB per second. That is just mind-blowing. And having that much read and write speed would boost your opening application speeds by 1,000 and loading Grand Theft Auto 5 like in about 25 seconds. Basically, this SSD was chosen for how fast it is. And again, if you want to know the price of this amazingly fast M.2 SSD, just check the link down below in the description. Now, in case you're wondering what is going to power all the parts in this build, well, the Corsair RM750X would do the job. I chose this power supply for the fact that it's fully modular, which is most important for cable management, and for the fact that it has 750 watts. And of course, if you want to know the price of this PSU, just check the link down below in the description. Now, if you realize that all the parts in this build are black, the motherboard PCB is black, the 1080 Ti is black, the case, which I will talk about now, is also black, the CPU cooler is also black, but I know everything is black, which will make this build a little boring, but don't worry. RGB on the 1080 Ti and the motherboard, and if you want also to buy a cheapo RGB strip and connect it to the RGB header on your motherboard, you won't be sticking to one color scheme for 10 years, which I would totally guarantee that this build will last you 10 years. So that's it. The case, it's a black case, but what kind of case? It's the NZXT S340 Elite. It's a cheap case, but don't let the price fool you. This case is a great value. It looks great, it feels premium, and of course, and most importantly, you should have a side window for showing off that 1080 Ti that you should show off. Anyways, if you want to know the price of this case, just check the link down below in the description. I'm sure you're gonna like it. Now I'm gonna talk about two main accessories that the computer won't work without. The mouse and the keyboard, but this time I'm gonna talk about the mouse. It's the Corsair Harpoon, and there isn't much to talk about mice, is there? It just has 6000 DPI for sniping perfectly with CSGO with that much frame rate, and it has RGB. It doesn't look that great in pictures, but believe me, for about $20 it is a great mouse to buy, and it won't burn your budget. As for the keyboard, it will be the Corsair K55 RGB keyboard. It has RGB backlighting, and unfortunately it's a membrane keyboard. To know the price of the keyboard and the mouse, just check the links down below in the description. Okay guys, that's been it. That's been my personal PC build and hopefully yours on Christmas. I would appreciate if you check the PC parts in the description down below, even if you're not buying anything, so I could get a little commission. Also, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Even turn on post notifications to get notified when you upload some videos. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next one.